Welcome to season 2 of the Energy Upgrade podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, master biohacker and successful entrepreneur. In season 1 of the Energy Upgrade, you got to have a taste for my obsession in all things health, energy, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and biohacking, or how to take radical responsibility in living a life by design. As a certified health coach, integrated health practitioner, kinesiologist, and seasoned entrepreneur who built and sold a 7-figure business, I want to dive deeper in this season 2. After healing myself from burnout, from my health falling apart, my hormones leaving my body, I'm here to share everything I wish someone had told me. Every day, I have the incredible opportunity to be mentoring women and supporting them in becoming true magnetic energy bombs. I'm helping them remember who they were all along. It's so powerful that I want to take you in on the journey, almost as if you were a fly on the wall. You'll find that I'm not your typical health coach, and I'm not your typical business coach either. I'm somewhere in between with a lot of spirituality sprinkled in there. This podcast is a sacred place where I come and share with you things that will bring you a high return on investment, because yes, I'm all about ROI. Life goes fast, and if I can show you a shortcut or two, I'll have succeeded at bringing you value. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Your time is now. Your energy is your life force. You want to be able to magnetize your wildest dreams. A liver detox is the fastest way to start healing. You can and you will.
Welcome to another episode of the Energy Upgrade. This week, I have a conversation that will blow your mind on the podcast. I told you in season 2, I wanted to dive deeper. I wanted to save you time, money, and get you more energy. And so this week, I will be having a conversation with the founder and the scientist who discovered a molecule called fatty 15 or C15, an essential fatty acid that is here to completely change the game around fatty acids and how they can beautifully impact your health. You already know about omega-3s, but there's recent studies, science, and concerns around omega-3s, believe it or not. And that piqued my interest about a year ago. And that's when I started diving into alternatives and really understanding, okay, so if we are saying that omega-3s are actually causing potentially more harm than good, then what do we do? Because we know we need more fatty acids than our diet can provide us. So what are we left with? And so today I'm bringing you a mind-blowing conversation and a solution to this also rising concern around the topic of omega-3s. So today, I'm pleased to be welcoming Dr. Stephanie Venn-Watson. She is the CEO of Serafina Therapeutics. She is a seasoned veterinary epidemiologist. Whew, that's a mouthful. And public health scientist. She previously served at the World Health Organization and U.S. Navy with a lifelong mission of helping people and our fellow animals age better. Stephanie's award-winning approach to improving human and animal health has been featured on NPR, BBC, CBS, and National Geographic. In her time as a CEO, Serafina Therapeutics has been recognized for its extensive research and education on C15, this essential fatty acid that you're going to be learning more about today. Stephanie received her BS in animal physiology and neuroscience from the University of San Diego. And she is literally a wealth of knowledge. She has been part of the National Research Council Associate with the Armed Force Medical Intelligence Center. She is an Albert Schweitzer Fellow for Life. And she also is this amazing human being, heart-centered, really here to understand the wisdom of nature, try to understand how can we learn from our fellow animals, from nature, so that we can actually age better. We can reverse some of these chronic diseases that we're seeing. And with fatty 15, That's exactly what she's doing. So quickly about Fatty 15, before we dive into this conversation, it's a science-backed and award-winning supplement that supports our long-term health and wellness. Also, I want you to know this is not a sponsored episode, not at all. This is really genuinely because I started taking this supplement and I noticed a drastic change. And I just, as you can imagine, I'm always testing and trying new things. And when I find something that is, that brings so much benefits, I always want to share it with as many people as possible and with you first and foremost, my community. And so for me to have the opportunity to bring you the founder, the scientist behind it, the person who actually understands it through and through was an absolute honor and chance that I'm so happy to be sharing with you here. And the C15 has 3 times more cellular benefits than omega-3s, which is critical to keeping our bodies healthy as they age. And out of the 3 customer report feeling benefits within 6 weeks of using, including healthier metabolism, lower anxiety, deeper sleep. I personally felt it on my hormones, on my sleep, on my digestion. I felt it on so many levels. And that's exactly what I asked Dr. Stephanie today. Did I make this up or was this actually what was happening? So this is going to be a beautiful conversation. We tried to keep it really short, not too sciencey, just the right amount of information that you need to know. Because this is something you and your family need to have on your radar so we can age gracefully, beautifully, and use the science and the biohacking that is available to us, all while honoring the wisdom of nature. So let's dive in. Steph, welcome to the Energy Upgrade. I'm so happy to have you here with us today.
Great. Thanks, Vanessa. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I've asked you to come and share about this wonderful, extraordinary discovery you made. And today we're going to be talking about Fatty 15, which is the product that you have released. But before we go there, just so the audience understands how long you've been interested in this molecule and all the work that has been going behind the scenes on it, would you mind sharing a little bit of your journey through discovering and coming up with this product? And I know this was a bit of an adventure also with your husband that I had the pleasure of meeting at the biohacking conference. So yeah, give us a bit of a rundown on your story because it's so extraordinary.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. So there I was. So I'm a veterinary epidemiologist. And so I was working for CDC and World Health Organization and helping to set up infectious disease surveillance systems all over the world, which was awesome. And then, Vanessa, it was about 20 years ago, the Navy asked if I wanted to join them to help build a clinical research program to continually improve the health and welfare of the Navy's dolphins, which I thought, that would be so cool to do in San Diego. Help dolphins, be in San Diego. Thought I would be doing that for a couple of years. It ended up being about 20. So, and it's great because, the Navy has cared for, sustained population of about 100 bottlenose dolphins for over 60 years. They live in San Diego Bay. They go out into the open ocean every day. Every day they choose to come back. It's this amazing collaboration between people and dolphins. And so because the dolphins get such great care, dolphins at the Navy now live more than 50% longer than dolphins in the wild. So a wild dolphin lives to about 20. Navy dolphins routinely live into their 40s and even 50s.
Oh.
So exactly. So what we found was with this growing population of geriatric dolphins, we found over a 10-year period that older dolphins age a lot like us. So some will develop high cholesterol and chronic inflammation and even the full suite of changes in the brain consistent with Alzheimer's. So this was fascinating, right? Because here we have a large-brained, long-lived mammal who is developing and aging a lot like us. Now, importantly, not all dolphins were aging the same. We had healthy agers that were aging at a slower rate and faster agers. So despite the fact that they were living in the same environment and getting the same health care. So Long story short, that allowed us to apply this advanced technology called metabolomics. And all that means is we're studying thousands of small molecules present in the dolphin's blood, but also ours throughout their lifetime. And we went to see which small molecules predicted the healthiest aging dolphins. And from that, we discovered about 100, and among the top was C15, was this odd chain saturated fatty acid, the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years. So a very happy accident.
Yeah, just the first one in 90 years. No big deal. So you discovered that and you made a link with, almost like the anti-aging properties of it on dolphins. And then what did you do?
Yeah, so from there, we then moved C15 into the lab. So once we found this promising molecule, it ended up at the same time we were making these discoveries and publishing this work on dolphins, the same thing was being discovered, Vanessa, in humans. So people with higher C15, less likely to develop type 2 diabetes, heart disease, inflammatory diseases, this thing called fatty liver disease, which now affects 1 in 3 people globally. So when we saw these parallels between dolphins and humans, we then took this molecule into the lab, and that's where we started understanding, is it not just associated with better health, but could it be the cause? So we did a bunch of studies. The first round where we did 8 studies over 3 years to understand how C15 works. And at the end of it, it was a huge paper we published in Nature Scientific Reports in 2020, and that showed that C15 isn't just an active and beneficial fatty acid, a nutrient in our food, but it met these rare criteria of being the first essential fatty acid to be found since omega-3. So it means that our bodies need certain levels of C15 just to maintain our baseline health, and our bodies can't make enough of it on our own. So it means that we have to get certain amounts from our diet or supplements.
Yeah. And, you mentioned a key word here, omega-3s. And I feel like I want to go there early on in the conversation because that's how I was presented fatty 15 about a year ago. I was telling you offline, my functional medicine doctor, which, we always geek out together. And she was like, you have to discover this. This is the next. This is so much better than omega-3s. You're going to be blown away. Go and try this. And then when I saw you at the biohacking conference, I was so excited to learn even more. But let's have a conversation about that, because obviously omega-3s by now are known by everybody. It's known that it is beneficial, especially to brain health, but literally to everything in reducing inflammation in the body. But what is the most recent, I guess, worry or consideration is that we're realizing that obviously we know that our fish population is loaded with heavy metals. We also know now that oils that are oxidized are actually extremely damaging on the body and creating more inflammation. So here we are condensing in this tiny, tiny pill of omega-3 that's super trendy now, oxidized oil with heavy metals, right? And that we're just realizing that like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't doing what it was intended to do. And that's really where I think you guys come in. But because I know you did a lot of investigations around omega-3s and how C15 ranks against that. Do you want to chat further about it?
Yeah, absolutely, Vanessa. You summarized it really well of where we're at. It's interesting because the dolphins actually told us that same story, right? Because all dolphins eat are fish. Like, they don't have a complicated diet. So to be honest, when we did this study, we figured it was going to be omega-3s, right? Like high omega-3s were going to predict the healthiest aging dolphins. And in fact, we found the opposite, that the higher, because they get much higher omega-3s than we get because all they eat are fish. But the higher the omega-3s in their diet, the less healthy they aged. And then C15, right, the surprising saturated fat, comes out on top and not only outranks, but shows that it has benefits for healthy aging, while omega-3s were the opposite. So it's just interesting that here we have this great population that provided us really valuable insight on omega-3s at the same time that, these studies and the things that really important aspects that you brought up with regard to quality and oxidation, have come to light. So when we talk about essential fatty acids, omega-3s there's a type of omega-3 called alpha linolenic acid, which qualifies as an essential fatty acid. It's a polyunsaturated fatty acid. Some people call them PUFAs, right? And by nature, they're oils. So they have lots of double bonds in their structure, and every double bond is a weak point for oxygen to basically go after and make it oil and also make it rancid. Yeah. So that's why they're so susceptible. When you look at C15, it also meets the criteria of essential fatty acid, but it's a saturated fat, which means it has no double bonds. Therefore, it's not susceptible to oxidation. It helps to actually shore up our cell membranes, make our cells less susceptible to oxidation. So it kind of serves as even a balancing counterpoint to the downsides of the omega-3s and others. So that was the first step. The second thing we did was we said, okay, quality of fish oil. There are multiple studies now where you take fish oil off the shelves. We actually did that internally as well. And we tested them for fatty acid content and rancidity. And half of the products, Vanessa, that we took, and this repeated studies that have been peer reviewed and published, half of the omega-3 supplements were rancid. So it's just tough. It's an oil and it oxidizes. It's hard to protect it from oxygen. So from there, we're like, okay, we're not even going to compare fatty 15, like a pure C15 powder supplement, to fish oil. So let's compare it to the purest omega-3 that's a prescription. So there's prescription omega-3s, which we still support. If your doctor's prescribing it, take it. And so we went head to head against a pure omega-3 EPA, and we did that doing extensive screening panel that FDA uses to basically screen for safety and efficacy of drugs. So we used that panel. It's called Biomap, and we showed there that fatty 15 had 3 times more cellular benefits than even the purest, highest performing omega-3. And just as importantly, it had no cytotoxicity. It didn't kill cells, while the omega-3 at higher doses actually killed the cells. So we're super excited to be able to bring this out, take the learnings from the dolphins, like what's the best part of the fish for our health, and bring it to the market.
Oh my gosh. I know what the listeners are thinking right now. They're probably like, what? Excuse me? Like omega-3s, we can't take that anymore. And that is like, welcome to the world of biohacking. It changes by the second. And that's why we're so grateful to have people like you who keep being curious and push the status quo and challenge, like, but wait a minute, is this really what our body needs? And that's why I was excited to bring you on, because to me, and I felt the difference, to be honest, and I felt the difference on so many levels. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because when I took omega-3s, obviously for a very long time, and now I'm thinking, oh, I probably created some damage here that I didn't know. So is C15 or fatty 15, which is the name of your product, does it come and repair some of these damages, is my question number one. And then, did I make this up, or did I feel a change on my hormones? Like, I feel like my cycle, I feel like when I take this, I feel really, really good when it comes to like my hormonal health. Am I making this up?
No, you're not making it. It's the best way to describe how C15 works. So again, it's not magic, right? It's like science. No. And the best way to explain how it works is that fatty 15, this molecule goes in where it should be, kind of replenishes it, and it helps fix what's broken. So it's not like you take it and it's some super thing that then makes you able to like be a superhero, right? It doesn't take baseline health and make you super. It's all about knowing that we break it down as we age. Like as soon as we hit 30, whether we like it or not, our cells start breaking down, we start breaking down. And so fatty 15 C15 goes in to the cells, and it helps basically fix those mechanisms of aging at the cellular level to help rebalance us. So Vanessa, your feeling of like my hormones, like I feel more balanced, is what it's doing is it's helping to recorrect and get you back to the balance that you had, that you have as when you're younger. And then I'm being able to help preserve that for as long as possible.
Oh, it's so amazing. Now, I also want to talk about, because you mentioned earlier about fatty liver. And this is very, very interesting, because as you've mentioned, so many people are being diagnosed with that, yet left with absolutely no solutions, right? So it's like, oh yeah, you have this, now what? So can you talk to me about how this is? I'm assuming it's the same repair mechanism, but can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's been a fascinating area of research and studies for the last 10 years. It started, part of the discovery came for C15 because of fatty liver disease. And it's because dolphins, just like people, 1 out of 3 dolphins gets fatty liver disease. As they get older, that is the same as in people. So this really fascinating parallel in the condition. So we were initially looking at the dolphin's diet to figure out predictors for healthy aging, including not getting fatty liver disease. So what we have found is that C15 plays multiple roles in protecting health. Really important to note, fatty 15 is a supplement, so it is not intended to
No. Yes, we'll add all the disclaimers.
Diseases,
yes,
just to make sure, like we're not, that. But I will share the science on C15 around fatty liver disease. So we found that when we gave dolphins fish, they were getting their C15 from fish, but not all fish had C15. So there was a group of dolphins that were getting basically accidentally a C15 deficient fish diet. When we put C15 back into their diet, we saw components of fatty liver disease that were present in the blood get better. So that was in addition to lower insulin, lower glucose, saw multiple improvements on the metabolic front. So then when we talked about moving to the lab, right? So then we tested C15 in both human cell lines that mimic components of liver disease, as well as in relevant models of fatty liver disease. And what we showed was that pure C15 effectively stopped the advancement of fibrosis, scarring in the liver tissue. What we know is, a lot of people know, is cirrhosis. It also helped stop a key driver for fatty liver disease to begin with, and it has to do with red blood cells and inflammation. It's a bit of a complicated tale, but it is providing valuable insight for people as to how can we prevent and treat liver disease. Interestingly, Dr. Jeff Schwimmer, he's a pediatrician, and he opened up the first fatty liver disease clinic for children in the world. And so Jeff reached out to us 10 years ago and said, hey, I read your paper on fatty liver in dolphins, and I don't believe it. So we shared archived dolphin livers with him, and he said, Vanessa, he's like, we are a go. It's the exact same disease. So Jeff's been working independently, and he's been showing that kids that have higher C15 have less fat in their liver. He just finished a clinical trial with fatty 15 with young adults with fatty liver disease. Stay tuned because he'll be coming out with those results in a few months. We're not allowed to share the results.
I can see from your smile that it's going to be epic.
But stay tuned. And so, the culmination of all of this work over the past 10 years specific to fatty liver disease is the hypothesis that C15 nutritional deficiencies, our drop of intake of C15, is actually the cause of fatty liver disease. And the encouraging part is that we have a way to fix this, get it back, by getting C15, back out to the world.
So where can we find C15 like from nutrition sources? Because I remember speaking with your husband, and now I hope my memory is going to serve me well, but I think we were talking about how it's present in breast milk, right? Which is really supporting healthy growth and development of babies. And then what happens after? Are we supposed to get this through dairy?
Yeah, exactly. You have it exactly right. So every mammal gets C15 at birth, right, through mom's milk. And so it does speak to the fact that every essential fatty acid that we know of, the three, they're all in milk. So it makes sense, right? It was like nature's perfect food for every mammalian baby. So from there, then you're exactly right. Our primary source of C15 has been whole fat dairy, mainly milk. And you know what's happened with whole fat dairy, right? We've all moved to plant-based milks, and plant-based milks have no C15 in it.
No.
And so C15 is such a reliable source of, dairy fat is such a reliable source of C15 for us. C15 has actually been used as a biomarker of how much dairy fat we eat and drink. So the problems with dairy fat today is, one, even whole fat milk has less C15 than it used to be, because when you feed cows corn, less C15 than when they eat grass. And it's even dependent upon what types of grass they eat, dictate C15. And then the other is that when we talk about beyond those earliest years of growth, the whole fat milk has much, much higher levels of a saturated fat called C16 and C18. These are even chain saturated fats that go with all the bad things that we've heard about. So they're pro-inflammatory, continuously associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So it's just like, a big reason why Eric and I, moved to develop Fatty 15 is like, how can we provide just the good odd chain C15 fat without the bad saturated fats?
Yes, because I always tell my clients one of the first thing is to get off of dairy, because we know that the sources are just not reliable anymore. Like you've mentioned, they're fed corn, but also, antibiotics and hormones and all the things that you don't want in your body. So it's like there's no solution, but you came up with one, which is so great. And you've mentioned something about kids, and that really piqued my interest, because I thought omega-3s were good and essential to their brain development, and DHA is to support their brain and cognition. So I gave them omega-3s, but I've stopped a year ago when I learned about all of this. So should we supplement our kids with fatty 15? And if so, because I know it comes, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube, by the way, your branding is on point. I love it so much. Beautiful see-through glass bottle with like a little hint of green. And then you get your refills in the mail in this little pouch. And so you just keep the bottle and empty it. But it comes in a dose of 1 capsule a day that you can take. I take it at lunch. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You find your own journey. People find what time of day works best for them.
Okay. So it's 1 dose, and it's like this 100 milligram of I'm assuming the C15. So how do we do this with kids? Do they get the same dose and it's fine?
Yeah, so kids can get the same. And so first, you made a really good point with regard to omega-3. There are 2 primary types of omega-3. One is EPA, which is usually when we're talking about heart health and metabolic health, which is what we focused on. The other is DHA. So DHA for the youngest of kids, listen to your pediatrician and chat with them, because we haven't done studies to say how does C15 do compared to DHA, especially with regard to brain development. So you made a really good point, Vanessa. So for this, what Jeff has been pursuing with regard to C15 nutritional deficiencies, not just as we get older, but younger, it does absolutely speak to the fact that we need C15 at all ages. In fact, there are even studies that have come out in the last 1 or 2 years, Vanessa, that show that the higher C15 in our follicular fluid, the healthier our ovaries are, and the more eggs we have in our ovaries, and the healthier embryos are. They're more ready for in vitro fertilization with the more C15. So it really seems to be essential from egg all the way from birth until, all the way through our long lives. For children, for fatty 15, we went above and beyond because it's really important to us, and we got generally recognized as safe status, GRAS status, and we got that status we decided to have it for children that were 4 years old and up.
Okay, good.
So that's where we're at today. Kids can get the 100 milligram dose, absolutely. And what's nice about it is a pure tasteless, odorless powder. That white powder, all it is C15. There are no additives, nothing, right? Nothing else in it. It's just this little amount. And you can open up that capsule and you can just put the powder inside of any, like to be honest, I melt mine in my coffee every morning.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah,
so
it doesn't.
It's not heat. Yeah. It's not impacted by heat.
No, it'll melt at 125 degrees, but it's still the same molecule.
Wow, truly a miracle. Okay, yeah, that's good to know because my daughter is 9 years old and she still won't take a capsule. Crazy. But my son is 6 and he has no problem with it. So that's good to know. I can put that in her smoothie, but no half capsule. I can go with the full dose.
Exactly. Yeah. This is these doses, a lot of times supplements will come out and they'll think like, oh, if I give you a 10 times dose that you get in food, this will be better. We're actually keeping to the same amount that we would normally have gotten from food. It just doesn't have the competing, bad fats which it's trying to compete against. So it's good, safe, and most importantly, effective levels that we and others have been able to show. It gets us to the right amount in our body that helps to activate all those healthy receptors that keep us balanced and to strengthen our cells and mitochondria.
Wow. And I also found through my own experience that I could feel the difference pretty fast. Like usually supplements, it'll take a while before you notice anything. But with this, within a week or even, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm feeling a difference with this because I'm trying things all the time. But it had been a while since I was that blown away. So.
Oh, it's great to hear. I mean, when we were doing the work with the dolphins, obviously they couldn't tell us, we didn't know that these near-term benefits would be a lot of people report, and I myself have experienced in deeper sleep. I used to roam the hallways in the middle of the night thinking about, the next day or whatever. So sleep well, and then mood, just calmer mood, able to handle stressful situations better. And we, in addition to all of the metabolic, heart, immune, and liver benefits, supporting benefits that C15 provides, we also learned that when we take C15, our body uses that molecule to create a second molecule called PDC. And we published this work last year, and we showed that this second molecule that our body naturally makes actually helps to activate what's called CB1 and CB2 receptors throughout our body and brain. These receptors are responsible for our sleep, for calmer mood, for feeling better. And so again, it reaches back to this question of, have nutritional C15 deficiencies not just caused the rise in cardiometabolic and liver diseases, heart and liver disease, especially among younger people, but has its deficiency also contributed to issues with regard to sleep disorders and mood disorders. So that's why a lot of people feel these benefits quickly. It's that, in most cases, it's that metabolite that helps provide kind of that quick feedback that you're in the right place.
Yeah. So it almost sounds too good to be true, right? Because it's working heart health, liver health, immune system, cellular health, mitochondria, energy, anti-aging, skin. We haven't talked about that, but it will help skin, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because if you think about it, and it does, we totally get, as scientists, we're it's hard to talk about all of the science at once because you're going to get that, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
It sounds good to be true, but but if you think about it, it's working at the cellular level we're made up of cells. If it helps to make our cells stronger, help the mitochondria work better, that helps with everything from skin. Like I've had atopic dermatitis my whole life, where like really dry, crackly, red skin, and that's all but gone for me, which is great. But it's just again, it goes and fixes you where your cells are broken. And so everybody has a slightly different fatty 15 as you're taking your so everybody
I just popped mine. I'm like, enough said. This needs to go in me right now.
So, and it then speaks to like the fact that it's essential. Like that term it's only for 3 fatty acids, right? And this one being the third. So if it really is essential, it should be helping with all of these things. And we've spent the last 40 years taking it out of our diets. So we're just getting it back in, and that's just helping to kind of like, world's a little broken, right? We're all a little broken. This is helping to kind of right the ship for a lot of it.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing, because it's amazing. And like you say, through the dolphins, you were able to listen to some of the wisdom of nature and just go back to basics, right? Like, did we miss something along the way? And that's often what happens. And when we go back to see what's happening in nature, we have a lot of our answers. So I'm so glad you did that work.
Yeah, we're grateful to the dolphins.
Yes. Hey, I'm interrupting this episode because I need to come to talk to you about Fall Queen. Yes, fall is upon us, and I strongly believe that as women, we are cyclical by nature. And I want you to embrace the seasons, the changes in our bodies, the changes in our mindset. And I want to give you all the tools so that you can rise no matter what season we're in. It's with that intention that I've designed Fall Queen after the success of Summer Queen. Fall Queen is a 6-week intensive program where we're going to be diving into shifting your mindset, detoxing your body, your environment for renewed health and energy. We're going to be diving into all of what the woman is craving in the fall season. So nourishment, immunity support, nervous system support, and of course, detoxification, because it's always a big part of it. These topics will be discussed all while acquiring unique knowledge around toxin elimination, emotional and somatic releases, and detoxification of your environment. This program is really going to help you not only get more energy, but boost your natural immunity, increase your resilience, and shift your mindset so you can finish 2023 like a true queen. So if this program is of interest to you, we're starting October 19th for 6 consecutive weeks. Every Thursdays, you get the replays if you can't join us live. You get full access to me on Telegram. We get to text each other and become besties. I'm here to support you, your health, and your progression. I want to support you rising. We're also going to have our unique Facebook community of aligned women who are ready to make this fall just their best one yet. So if you're curious, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. It's 6 weeks for $9.97. This is my most inexpensive program. It's the best way to join my universe and take advantage of the energy of the vortex so you can start transforming here and now today. I hope to see you there. And of course, if you have any questions, remember you can always book a connect call with me so that we can get to know each other and I can best guide you on how I can support you and your expansion. I hope to see you in Fall Queen this fall. And I'm curious because I remember when I spoke to Eric back in June, he was so excited. He said, "Oh, we're about to share the results of our latest study." Yeah. And I can't remember if I saw or heard. What was it?
So it's in review.
Okay.
It's in review at Nature Scientific Reports. It is a big paper. We did share the results at the meeting, so we can just kind of talk about some broad the broad highlights of, just so like as we found C15, is an essential fatty acid, we would then went head to head, right, against omega-3 to see how it matched up. C15 is now really, because of the voluminous data, it's all available on discoverc15.com, is where all the science is. So given all the science supporting how it supports healthy aging, how it targets hallmarks of the aging, right, at the cellular level, we then went head to head, had C15 go head to head against the leading longevity candidates, so metformin, rapamycin, and acarbose. And so without going into terrible detail, Vanessa, the take-home point is that C15 had more cellular benefits than any of those three safely. And it had many similarities with rapamycin, which is the leading longevity molecule, but without the side effects. So the hypothesis is that rapamycin, is found in streptomyces, is found in a bacteria off of Easter Island. And the hypothesis is they behave so similarly that the question is rapamycin just a C15 mimic? And it's just mimicking the molecule, that the biohacking molecule we've needed all along. So it's a fun story.
That's going to be a game changer, because again, everybody's always looking for that quick fix, that magic pill. And if we just go back to nature and to the answers we had in front of us all along, I love that. Like, what if people could just, as like, I'm huge on reconnecting with you, with your worth, with your body, listening and not trying to look for all these external things to fix you. But this is something we had all along, right?
Yeah.
And so going back to it, it sounds like there's no contraindications also for anybody 4 years old and up. It's good, right?
Yeah. It's been extraordinarily safe. And again, it speaks to the fact that it's in breast milk, right? It's in milk. And so we have evolutionarily adapted over millions of years to work with C15 to help us live long and healthy lives. And so the best way you can do that is to do it effectively, and just as importantly, safely. So we're thrilled that the dolphins taught us the secret. And like you said, has been right in front of us all along.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Where can people find you, your work? You've already mentioned discoverc15.com, and I'm going to link obviously all of these in the show notes, but where else can people find you?
Yeah, so we're Fatty 15. Our C15 supplement is at fatty15.com. Made that easy. We decided to own the word fatty and to neutralize it, so it doesn't always have to be a bad word. It can be a good, fats can be good too. So you can learn all about the science of Fatty 15 and about the product. You can find us through going through info@fatty15 via email. Can reach out anytime. We answer questions from people all day long.
You really do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, which is super fun. And then all the science, you can nerd out to your heart's content at discoverc15.com. Probably every 3 or 4 weeks now, there's a new paper coming out from whole different groups throughout the world on C15 and its benefits. So we put all of those papers on that site.
Beautiful. Perfect. And I'll share, I think I have a $20 discount. So I'll share that link in the show notes as well. If you're curious to give it a try, for me, it already was the case, but now you've reinforced it even further. I'm definitely not recommending omega-3s anymore, and I will be moving. Even I'm going to be starting my kids on this today, because that was the piece I wasn't sure. So I'm moving everybody to Fatty 15. I'm personally so impressed. I felt the difference, and now in speaking with you, I just love everything that you guys do and stand for, and I also appreciate the details, like all the packaging and the sustainability and the branding. And, it even comes with a brochure, but it's like newspaper, recyclable, like all the details I think is brilliant. And I know it's a small team supporting you, and that I love that. So
thanks, Vanessa. Yeah, we have a saying at the end of our meetings where we say, save the dolphins, save the world. And with the packaging, we said, well, why can't we help save the earth too? So we folded that into who we are, who Fatty
No
50.
small duties, right? But hey, you have gold in your hands. Seriously, this discovery is like it's going to change everything. And I'm so grateful for your work. Thank you for spending some time with me and with us today. It was a pleasure learning more about your discovery and your journey. And I hope to see you again at the next conference and next time in person.
Absolutely, Vanessa. This was so much fun and such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.